countries divided by centuries of rivalry and warfare, and by 34 kilometers of treacherous open sea. It was a radical idea to dig a tunnel connecting them 100 meters below the rocky seabed. At stake, billions of pounds and the lives of 8,000 tunnellers. If it worked, it would be the world's longest undersea tunnel. But with terrifying floods, a horrific fire, and financial meltdown, the Channel Tunnel would dice with disaster right from the start. This train is making an extraordinary journey that will take it under the surface of the Earth, through one of the world's biggest man-made structures. Engineers call it one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. The Channel Tunnel took 7 years to construct and devoured 1 million tons of concrete, enough to build the Empire State Building 3 times over. Europe, the nations of Britain and France. Since Ice Age glaciers melted 13,000 years ago, they've been separated by this formidable body of water, the English Channel. At 34 kilometers across, it's twice as wide as the Grand Canyon. The two nations spent hundreds of years at war, right up to the last century. For many on both sides, it's still a love-hate relationship. So the idea of an undersea tunnel to link these one-time foes caused controversy. But the massive trade boost for both countries was an irresistible incentive. In 1986, British Premier Thatcher and French Premier Mitterrand agreed to build the Channel Tunnel, but the total £3 billion budget was put up entirely by private finance. December 1987. The big dig begins. Heading underground were 2 armies of excavators, each over 4,000 strong. 1 French and 1 British. Each team would dig out from its own shoreline, racing to be the first to the midway point under the channel. The Brits were a tunnelling elite drawn from major worldwide underground projects. Calling themselves the Tunnel Tigers, they set great store by teamwork.
One-man armies don't go very far. You know, it takes quite a few lads to keep something like this going.
Commanding them is Chief Engineer Gordon Crichton.
You had a team who were totally dedicated to building the job.
The French digging team were the underdogs, locally recruited and trained up for the project.
It's the first time any of us have done a job like this. Everyone's proud to be involved.
Leading the French troops was Laurent Leblanc.
I couldn't believe I was actually working on such an exciting and colossal project. For me, it was absolutely incredible.
The Channel Tunnel would run twice as long underwater as any previous tunnel. The task facing the teams was huge. They had to dig 2 main rail tunnels, plus a central service tunnel, together as wide as a 4-lane motorway. 245 cross passages, crucial escape routes in the nightmare scenario of a fire or accident in the tunnel. Above the tunnels, vents to release the huge air pressure from speeding trains. And giant crossover caverns, allowing trains to divert from one tunnel to the other to allow for maintenance. It all added up to a staggering 153 kilometers of tunnel to be dug. As the dig began, the tunnellers were conscious of the vast scale and the real dangers of the task ahead. Above their heads, 100 metres of seawater and rocky seabed.
Every day you wonder what you're going into. There's only one way in and one way out.
Noisy. Hot. You just think, what have I got myself in for, really?
Ahead of these tunnelling foot soldiers stood a 17 million tonne wall of earth and rock. It's not a job for claustrophobics. The job would push the men to the limit, but it would also make big demands on the technology of the day. Meet the tunnel boring machines. These underground leviathans spearheaded the Channel Tunnel dig. They were 200 metres long. That's the length of 2 football fields. They weighed 1,100 tonnes apiece, as much as a World War II destroyer. And they were twice as wide as a tank. Yet, as Gordon Crichton reveals, the way that TBMs work is surprisingly simple.
Imagine this is the bed of the channel. The machine is rotating underneath the sea, and as it rotates, the spoil from the tunnel is taken out the back, put into railway wagons and carried to the surface for disposal. Also, as it rotates, it erects a lining, a support round it, which is the permanent lining.
Expert tunneller Brendan Riley knew how central the TBMs were to the dig.
Basically, the machine is a mini factory. The factory is provided with power,